So recently I had a comment on an Instagram post that was put up, and she was asking about how I structure my day, especially getting started in real estate and having small children, because that's the struggle. You're trying to take care of your kids, you're trying to start a business, and so I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that because I think that could be really helpful, not only for her, but for some of you other moms out there that might be struggling with this. So it took me a few minutes of kind of brainstorming, thinking about, because my kids are a little bit older now, what did I used to do when they were smaller? So when I was first getting started, one of the things that I did was I would make lists. So I knew that there were certain things that needed to be done that day. And so every morning, the first thing I would do was sit down and just make a list of all the things that needed to be done. And then from that list, I could prioritize, what are the most important things to do. What I realized was that mornings were usually really good for us, especially with little ones, because they weren't really, like 100% yet. And so I was able to get a lot done at the beginning of the day, and that just came from recognizing, the patterns of the kids' behavior, like if they're calmer during the morning, if they're calmer in the afternoon, that kind of thing. So kind of look at that whenever you're putting together your plan of like when you're going to work. So what I would try to do is, I would take the list and then I would figure out what were the optimal times for me to get those tasks done. So for me, it was usually morning because, they were calmer in the morning. So I'd get as much done as I could during that time frame. And then the rest of the day, I just kind of had to really work around them and their schedule and what was going on. Obviously nap time is a great opportunity to get some things done. And when you know that you have these certain blocks of time to be effective, it makes you very efficient, is what I found. So when you have the whole day open, once my kids started school, I noticed I would waste a lot more time. But when I had these small windows of time to work with, that's when I was the most productive, because I knew I had to get that stuff done in that window, before things just went, completely crazy. So another thing that I did as they kind of transitioned from more of a baby phase to a toddler phase is I set up a little play area in my office. So they had play mats and things like that where they could be in the room with me and I could still work and keep an eye on them, but they were entertained, so I wasn't having to entertain them every single moment. So they had their toys in there, things to climb around on or whatever, just to keep them occupied while I would work. And then when they got even a little older, I hired a nanny actually, and that was really great for me for a while, because I was still working at home and I really didn't want them out of the house, and I wasn't working enough to really justify having, pay for childcare all day like a daycare. But having the nanny in the house, she would come and I was still there, so it was kind of perfect because she could entertain the kids, they would play with her, but I could still get things done. So we were both being productive. Things were happening with the kids. They weren't just sitting around all day on their devices at that point. They were actually going places with the nanny, being entertained, while I got work done. But it was still very flexible with not having to be in a school type situation, like daycare or whatever, where you drop them at a certain time, pick them up at a certain time. We were still able to be fluid. If I wanted to take Friday off, I would just tell the nanny, hey, I don't need you on Friday, so she was part-time coming to the house and helping out. So that was a big help for me too. So those are just a few little tricks kind of that I learned. A lot of it is just kind of a juggling act, honestly, in the beginning, just figuring out, when is the best time you can work. And then also just make sure that when you putting your day together, that you're thinking about the tasks that you're actually doing. So make sure that the things that you're doing are actually, it's just not busy work. When you need that focus time, make sure that you're doing the most important things during your focus time.